Hey, what's up, everybody? BDO44 coming at you with another video. Alright, so today is game day. Lakers versus Warriors. And the game is at the Chase Center, 6 p.m., 9 p.m. Eastern. Pacific was the sixth one. This is a situation where the Los Angeles Lakers obviously are very happy to be in this position. But as I always like to say, we're not happy to be here. And to be honest with you, we're running into a Warrior team that isn't either. So we need to be very careful not to take them seriously in any aspect of the game. Obviously, they are a great shooting team, but at this point, we are aware that they are also turning into a great rebounding team. A guy by the name of Kevon Looney has had 20-point games in just about every game in the series, it seems, but no, 3 games out of the 7 played, he had over 20 rebounds, including Game 7, where he had 21. We got to take this team extremely seriously. Obviously, Steph Curry is a player who's just simply one of the greatest of all time. He's continuing to ascend, and we're not sure where he's going to land when it's all said and done. But if we don't win this series, we're definitely going to help his legacy entirely. When you're considering Steph Curry, what really comes to mind for me is understanding that he's not alone. No matter what you think of Steph Curry and how great he is, the bottom line is he has several Hall of Famers next to him. Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, and I don't know if this guy's going to end up a Hall of Famer or not, but Andrew Wiggins is starting to put his name on the map as a serious playoff performer, and that includes what we just saw in the playoffs against the Sacramento Kings. This is one of the best two-way players in basketball today, and if we do not take him as seriously as we take the other two stars on that team, he could be the guy that ultimately sends us into a bad space in this series. They have so much talent to try to deal with on the perimeter. I can tell you, Jordan Poole is not somebody to take lightly either. I think this young fella has one of the best pure games in terms of the offensive end, his mechanics, the purity of his game as he drives at the rim, his jump shot, just perfection. The only thing about that young fella is he has a hard time helping his team when his shot isn't falling. So you do expect for him to have ebbs and flows throughout this series, but if he does something unprecedented, you won't be surprised, because that's the level of talent that he provides every single night. You just don't know if this is going to be the night where he shows you exactly how great he can be. So we need to keep strong defenders on him at all times and respect his game, because it can morph a bit. He can pass some, he has very good handles, and he's a nimble young player with a lot of flair to his game. So if we do not take him seriously just because he's been struggling, just like Desmond Bane, he could have the series of his life against us and soft defense. So we're one of the best defensive teams in the league, but we tend to leave holes open. Do not let Jordan Poole have his way in the series while we're trying to keep account of everybody else, because that could really be a problem for us as well. Thinking he's just going to be breaking shots because he struggled. Don't do it, Lakers. Also, Dante DiVincenzo, his game is growing, man. I figured he would be better with the Golden State Warriors than he had been in his previous situations, just because he's an ascending player in general, and because when you go to the Golden State Warriors, you're going to learn so much from those guards, and you're going to have so much space on the floor because you're going to be on the floor with them. You're going to be left open. And a guy like Dante DiVincenzo is not somebody you can necessarily leave open. So his game is just going to continue to really benefit off of those players down there. And, man, he showed me something in that last game I saw him in. He did some type of little Euro step, flare, layups, crazy move. I don't know what he did. It was cross up. I don't remember what it was exactly. But it was so special that Steph Curry had to look at him like, bro, for real? Like, his whole team was tripping off of what he did. And it was at the buzzer of that halftime game, I believe it was. Maybe game 6 or something. Game 7, not certain. But nevertheless, Dante is showing me that his game is getting into a different level now. And if we dare leave him open or not take him seriously or think he's somebody to leave alone for any good length of time, we're going to find out he's not. Simply put, Dante DiVincenzo is not somebody to play with at all. So I understand their team is a deep team, and they're just going to continue to provide a lot of defense for themselves when you consider the various gifted defensive players they have in multiple positions. Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, uh, uh, Kevon Looney, Gary Payton II. Even Steph Curry, to a degree, is a very, very cunning defender. Even though they try to hide him a lot of the times, you could try to attack him here and there, which wouldn't be a bad idea, and try to get him in foul trouble. But the majority of the time, he's going to do some good things for himself on the defensive end. He's going to come up with some key steals. He's going to have his quick hands out there. He's going to draw charges and things of that nature. So we're going to have to be very crafty against this Hall of Fame level champion. And that's not even, that don't even tell the story. Steph Curry is becoming one of the best players to ever play this game, shooting the ball at levels that continue to break his own records of efficiency. The last game we saw him in, he had what I believe was either 50 or 51 points, high level efficiency, spectacular shooting all up and down the floor, just, salute level greatness. And you just have to respect that there's a chance he can just will his team to win, just like LeBron James and Anthony Davis can will us to victory. So it's the battle of the great ones, and it should be fun to watch. I don't know, honestly, if we can win the series. I did pick us to win the series, but just like anything else, when you're talking about this level of talent, there's so many different things that can teeter on what will happen for you. And although I see more capable players on our side, I saw the same thing on Sacramento's side. At the end of the day, you definitely want to put yourself in a position to play defense against these guys. Guard the perimeter at all costs, because the Golden State Warriors are going to most definitely shoot the ball. And as I was saying last night in the video I made, which I encourage everybody to check out, the Golden State Warriors are going to find themselves not able to drive at the rim as much as they would like to against Anthony Davis and Jared Vanderbilt and some of the other guys that we have on our team. They're going to block shots. Rui Hachimura, LeBron James. We're really using our length well and have really blocked a lot of shots in the previous series. Anthony Davis obviously playing astronomically, breaking records, blocking shots. And so what we want to do is just continue to carry that over. We took care of Memphis in 6 games. We thought we could have did a little better in that series. I give us about a B. We were okay in that series. But ultimately we saw some things that we definitely didn't like, particularly in Game 5. And we hope to not make some of those mistakes in this series. So we're looking at Darvin Ham. We've run through the ringer about him and talked about so many different things in regards to whether or not this is his fault or not, and all the different things about wanting to fire him and all that. But at the end of the day, we're here. We're in second round, and Darvin Ham's our coach, so he's going to have to continue to excel and continue to put an emphasis on both sides of the floor and make rotation decisions that adjust to what's happening, not necessarily what's predetermined in his mind. So if we can get that under control and react well to what needs to be adjusted to, I'm pretty certain the Los Angeles Lakers are in a position to have the better of the two rosters. I think that Steph Curry may be the most capable player down there right now, but we have our advantages. We have size on these guys at the end of the day. I don't think they have an answer for Anthony Davis, and I think they're going to be some points in this series where someone is going to be left open. They're going to have the ability to guard any one player, but there are going to be circumstances where they're going to have to pick somebody to leave open, is essentially what I'm saying. And in that situation, we may be able to take advantage of possessions, depending on who they leave on the floor in the paint and various things that they can do for themselves. So I think they're a little small to be going up against the LA Lakers. To be honest with you, I think they're going to be rated a shooting team. As I said, I think they just have too many shooters to kind of really get the most out of themselves without overshooting. I think is what I ultimately determined with this particular year's roster. Like I said, they play excellent defense. A guy like Andrew Wiggins and Steph Curry and their team as a whole is going to try to put pressure on the rim as a unit. They have to just do it by committee, I think. Jonathan Kuminga is going to take them a long way in regards to that. But it's going to be hard to keep him on the floor when they're going to be leaning on various different players. And I think that's the trick for the Golden State Warriors, is just how do you get the most out of your team when most of your best players are guards. And you want to keep, Draymond and Looney on the floor, but how do you get Kuminga involved and Gary Payton while having the most shots given to um, Steph and Clay. And then what about Jordan Poole? How does he get in rhythm? So it just becomes a situation where because they can't condense everything into one lineup that gives them the most of their strengths without being completely out of position, you just always see opportunities to take advantage of them when they want to lean on one thing or another. Now, when Steph Curry and Klay Thompson are out there shooting up a storm, they can go to work. But you do understand that's them not being able to play somebody that ultimately they really would like to play, to ultimately get the most out of themselves to match up against us. So it gets tricky as heck for the Golden State Warriors. And that's why I like us in our advantages. Whatever they put on the floor, we can match up or provide ourselves an advantage, which I hope we will choose to do. A lot of times we match up when teams go small. They go small, we go small, we get beat. And I just don't think our small ball lineups will ever compete with the Golden State Warriors. We have talented guards. We got some capable forwards. But when you're talking about going up against Clay, Steph, Wiggins, and these guys, you don't. No. You want to give yourself as many size advantages as possible. You want to use AD and Bron as much as you can, particularly AD scoring the ball in the paint in easy situations. And then you want to lean on the efficiency of a guy like Austin Reeves and D'Angelo Russell. And you want to ask guys like Dennis Schroeder to drive. And you're hoping to score by committee, walk away with like 8 players in double figures. Hopefully Anthony Davis got over 30 points. And Bron was able to also get over 30 points. He walk out of there with 125 to whatever you can. And that's how you can beat the Golden State Warriors, or at least compete with the Golden State Warriors. But how do you score that many points? By taking advantage of every opportunity you have schematically to score. Because if you don't, they're going to match you bucket for bucket and then defend everything else. So that's really what it comes down to. They're going to want to rebound the ball. So box out. And of course, they're crafty old veterans, so they're going to flop all over the floor. They're going to do everything they need to do to get us out of position. They're going to run some really intricate plays, and sometimes we're just going to get beat, but you got to get back down and compete on the other end and get a good possession out of every offensive possession. And trust that you're the best defense in the league, which means you're better defense than them. So show it and flex with your length. And so that's what I want to see our team do, man. I hope we can go a bit more heavy on the Rui Hachimura, more so driving with LeBron James rather than shooting the three, please. I know it's Golden State, but you're not going to outshoot them, brother. It's not going to happen. And understand that we have to gain rest where we can, so we can't just be mindless about playing our stars in the fourth quarter if we happen to be lucky enough to have substantial leads. This is a series where every other game is being played. Every other day, there is a game. We don't get rest. So if we have leads, we must sit stars. That's what I'm trying to convey. We just don't want to leave our guys out there too long to be just playing mindless jogging and stuff like that like we did in the last game. I know we want to keep big leads and are scared, deathly afraid of giving up an 18-point lead with 6 minutes to go, but at the same time, we got to rest, man. Less basketball is the best basketball for the LA Lakers this season, so curious to see how Vanderbilt is using the series. Are we going to put him on Steph Curry? I like doing it every once in a while, but you can't put the same thing on Steph Curry over and over and over again. He's going to figure it out. So we got to give ourselves as much as possible in regards to Steph Curry, or give him as much looks as you can, so that you always keep him guessing, and leave him something for the end too. Don't throw everything at him in the first 3 games. Do win the first game. You can definitely help yourself if you get home court advantage in this series early. You will have to win in this building at some point, so if you can get the early ones or one of the early ones, that's your best strategy, obviously. You love the fact that even if you go down 0-2, it does shift back to your house, so you love yourself at home, but the series is a major disadvantage to you if you don't get one of these first 2. And it's a major disadvantage to them if you get both. So if we can catch them off guard, we know that even though we don't want to carry over old data about the Golden State Warriors' road struggles, we will consider them when thinking of the urgency of beating them at home. You get these first 2 at home, you put that to the test. And maybe it rears its ugly head and we get a broomstick out of the situation. But that never manifests if you make mistakes on the road here. So we got to take these games seriously. Treat them like they're Game 7. Bring the urgency necessary. And look, both of these teams, this needs to be said. I just thought of this. They know what it takes to fight for their lives this season because both of them have been fighting for a while now, not just the start of the playoffs, but the Golden State Warriors had been in that little flurry of teams where we were trying to fight for our lives, hoping we can keep above the fray. They just happened to do so. But they were in that mix, so we know what it takes to bring the urgency necessary to this game and not be stagnant. Also, we're running on more rest. I saw Steph Curry at the end of the game in the locker room when the coach was addressing the team. The man looked exhausted. He may have got a little rest, but it's only been, a day? We got to see if that last game took a lot out of him. If it did, running him around and putting him in positions to be tired is probably our best bet. We want to bounce him off of screens, have him, tossed to the ground on layup drive attempts and things of that nature. We want as much pressure on Steph Curry early as possible, given how tired he probably is. The earlier he's fatigued, the more likely he's worn out as the series progresses because he's older. You see what I'm saying? And that's the advantage that playing this team is going to be versus going against Sacramento or maybe some other team that were younger. You're the one that's more likely to wear down than the other team. In this case, with Clay and Dre and Steph, they would like to sweep us so that they don't have to play as much basketball. No different than we would like to sweep them so that we don't have to play as much basketball. Neither one of these teams are spring chickens, and because of it, rest is important. So we need to think about that as we strategize in this series, and we need to think about that as we consider how physical we would like to be in this series. A guy like Kevon Looney, he's in rare form, which you got to understand. I don't really see him wearing down at all. He's just one of those supreme workhorse type of people that could just go just forever. He doesn't miss any games, and he does all the dirty work all the time. So don't expect that you're going to wear him down. He's gonna wear your bigs down before you wear him down. That's just me in theory. Obviously, he's human, but he doesn't seem like it. So you just got to respect it. Kevon Looney is going to be somebody we're going to have to throw multiple bodies at and respect that. If you have small people on the floor while he's on the floor, he's going to eat and gobble up boards at really, really high levels in embarrassingly difficult to manage levels. So he's already shown us that in the first round. Don't toy with him in these small ball lineups, Darvin. I like Rui Hachimura as much as the next guy, but I don't think he's somebody you necessarily want to put on Kevon Looney, and I see where that's headed. That I don't think he's going to have the strength advantage there. I don't think so. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. At the end of the day, man, I like us, like I said, against the Golden State Warriors game 1. I think they are really tired. As I said, Steph Curry looked really exhausted. Klay Thompson didn't look especially sharp shooting the ball in the last game. Obviously, that's one of the greatest shooters ever, so you don't take too much with that. But you just want to see if tendencies carry over. Steph Curry was amazing. Absolutely amazing. So needless to say, he's in rare form right now. Needless to say, you expect for him to go off for over 35, 40 points tonight. It's a feel-out game, so don't be married to the idea of what happens at the end of this game if you win or lose. It's just a feel-out game. I expect the series to go about the distance, probably 6 is what I hope for. I called for 6, so I'll say 6, but if it goes 7, there will be absolutely no shock here. Darvin, gotta just strategize well early, or it could put us in a hole that we can't get ourselves out of, and that is my biggest fear in this series, you guys. I just don't want him to do anything bad. Trying to overthink this coaching thing. We got to really get these first 2 wins if possible, because boy oh boy does it put you in a firm position to get the heck out of this damn series if you win both of these games in the Chase Center, and I just don't think we're incapable of doing that. We're a very good team on the road. We've had a lot of success against this particular team, and the mental edge should be somewhat in place based on that success, so long as we don't lean on it thinking that it's going to lead us to victories without the effort necessary to beat the NBA champions, for which they are many times over, including reigning and defending. So, respect, all these guys have that experience. You're going to be outclassed on the floor in some of these cases, and we're just going to have to live with our inexperience and lean on our stars to carry us through our mistakes. It can be a little nervous night to be in a playoff game against Steph Curry for a lot of our guys. Not everybody, it's one thing playing LeBron James, which you make for easier, experiences in that regard. But at the end of the day, uh, it's tough going up against this guy. He's going to do things that are going to demoralize our squad sometimes, and that's just you just shake that off and do something to demoralize him on the other end. We trust our talent, and he's not the amazing defender that he needs to be to not get embarrassed. So we need to just go back down there and get our leg back every time he does something slick. But don't get into a shootout with him. Don't think you can go into a back and forth 3-point shoot out with him. We don't shoot well enough for that. Respect it. Be okay with it. Absorb it. Tell yourself that in the mirror before you get out of bed. I don't shoot as well as Steph. Nobody does. It's okay. I promise. So that's the thing that we got to tell ourselves as a team, man, because I know us. We're going to get into a shootout with this dude in one or two of these games. It's just going to be a bait and switch kind of thing. We're just going to be baited into it, rather. And so we just got to be smart enough to let it happen. Clock management. We made a lot of mistakes over throughout the year, with our clock management and how we ultimately closed out games. So hopefully we've exercised those demons and understand that in pressure moments against Steph Curry, any mismanagement of the clock or any mismanagement of basketball principles could be used against you on the court of basketball. So I just look at that and say, okay, no turnovers, guys. Hit all your free throws. Don't be crazy with the refs. Drive at the rim. Try to get as many of those contact whistles as possible. And let the chips fall where they're made against these incredible, gifted superstars, shooters who are probably going to shoot too much more than they should to try to beat us. I don't expect they're going to shoot anything less than 35 threes a night. And they're probably going to hit a lot of them most nights, but I don't know if that's going to work from possession to possession against the LA Lakers. So I'm curious to see how they're going to approach us. As I told you guys in the video that I made yesterday about the Warriors, the way they attack usually last year's was to get it out the mud, so to speak, using their defensive wings, turn defense to offense, using Looney and Draymond to pull down boards, and then Steph and Clay would just shoot the three as they saw fit. This year they are a little more eccentric in regards to shooting the ball, so I don't know if they have that same dynamic that's ultimately built to win the same way. So I will learn, as I watch. Like I said, I'm not certain, but it just seems like how they're constructed is that way. I would love to tell you I watched a bunch of highlights on these guys, but honestly, I've been so busy with the things that I have to do today. As you can see, there's like a million therapy sessions up there. I'm having a heck of a time trying to figure everything out. So it wasn't time. And I know that I have something coming up at 12, so I just need to rush the video. So that's kind of why I'm not prepared as I'd like to be with more stats and things of that nature. But I did want to make this video and address the team because I have some things in mind just in general about us going against that team. And so it's not going to be too hard to tell that if you don't guard the perimeter, you're getting beat. You ain't got to watch a bunch of footage to know that. But also, you can't turn the ball over against the Golden State Warriors, of course. And do expect that they'll turn the ball over against you. They turn the ball over too much. In fact, they're happy to just turn the ball over 7 times. I was listening to Draymond Green. He was like, we only turned the ball over 7 times. Can you believe it? I'm like, brother, we've had games where we only turned the ball over 4 times. And that's something that we thought we probably should only turn the ball over 2 times. So if they're happy with 7 turnovers, I think we'll be happy with how the series goes. Because at the end of the day, we're going to force more than that. So, yeah, let's just understand that they tend to turn the ball over a little too much as a team just by DNA. Steph Curry tends to just let the ball fly off his legs and stuff like that. Throw the ball out of bounds, especially when it's crunch time. It's the strangest thing in the world, but it happens very consistently. So these are things we're going to look to see if it happens in these playoffs just the same. Watch how these two teams behave down the stretch, man. And Steve Kerr. Just curious to see how he approaches this series. Sometimes he does things that I don't understand. And I think it's just like a lot of coaches I'm finding. They just throw stuff out there just to kind of throw each other off. So I do expect some of that. We're going to have situations where we're going to be able to score a lot against Steve Kerr, and it's going to look like we figured something out. Just know that the adjustment is coming. Just know that. If you, we're getting layups. Oh, my God, we're getting layups. Just know the adjustment is coming. Because he's not that type of coach. He's won too many championships, been through too many wars. In this last series, he was down 0-2, and it did not matter. They had the history of losing all those games. They lost the first 2 games on the road and still won the series. You know how much of a mental overcoming that takes to be a bad road team, to go up against a team down the road, lose both of those road games, and then come back and still win the series? you have to overcome your tendencies of belief in yourself that you could ever win in that building again, and then you come back and win both of those next 2 games on the road. So I know what we're up against. The punch that happened in the beginning of the year, yeah, they were a little fragile about that. Maybe if we get in here and win 3 games straight, that might come back around. That chemistry might come back around and hurt them bad. But as of right now, you're going to have to beat them fair and square. They're not going to beat themselves as it pertains to them not getting along or something like that. That's over with. So for all of us who are thinking that the Golden State Warriors are just going to beat themselves in the series, they're going to be in for a wake-up call very soon. So that's what I got to say. You can just look at highlights of the Sacramento game and tell that's not about to happen. So that's what I want to say, man. The Golden State Warriors should have a lot of respect for the LA Lakers. Anthony Davis has been blocking shots like a madman. And if his offense had come back around, that series wouldn't even gone 5 games. We played bad, still won the series in 6. So I'm confident that if we just play marginally better, we'll put on a much better display. LeBron James had 2 games where he was just horrible. Anthony Davis had 2 games where he was horrible on the offensive end. Defensively, I can't say he ever played horrible in that game. He was pretty much the best defensive player throughout the entire series, all the time. And so I expect him to be the same in this series, no doubt. But I expect better from Bron, too, in terms of keeping his turnovers down. I think it was game 4 where he only had like maybe 1 or 2 turnovers. So that's what we need to return. Also, Austin Reeves, I know he's going to have some tough defensive players on him, as I've mentioned in one of my videos recently, but he's going to have to come back around and give us our efficiency. When you have him missing 6 threes and turning the ball over 4 times, that's just too many lost possessions from one of our most important possession, controllers, I guess you could say. So we need him to be more efficient and less likely to turn the ball over. Please, Austin. And of course, I mentioned Dennis Schroeder. I want to see him play better, but it's also about the coach kind of finding ways to work him in the equation. It seems like we can only get him to play well when people are out. So that's what I've noticed. It's almost like he's rendered useless if we aren't missing a point guard. So got to find a way to get him in the lineups that allow him to be himself and get at least something out of him every game. And I'm happy that Lewinian Gabriel has been reincorporated back into this playoff roster. I hope that carries over into this series because he was used some in the previous matchup, and it served us well, especially in Game 6. Instead of going to small, we went with him in the lineups in the second quarter, and we had a really good quarter. So that's kind of what I envisioned for our team. We don't have to necessarily get away from size in our second units because I think it doesn't serve us. We can definitely get rebounds and do easy bucket things and keep ourselves in a position to rest our starters even more if we continue to build upon leads. So that should be something we look to do. Rest is best. So as I consider this game this evening, I pray for good health for our team and everyone, for both teams, of course. And just looking forward to the teams coming out there and giving us a fantastic show. This is Bron versus Steph Curry at the end of the day in the playoffs. And we've seen them go through so many different battles. They're obviously both competing for a 5th championship. And I think that's going to be in the air as these 2 teams compete. I wish we had home court advantage to start this series, but I think ultimately we can strategize comfortably from our position so long as we just win one of these 2 games and take care of home court. And so we expect to do both. We expect for our team to perform, and if we hold ourselves as a team that does all that it's capable of doing rather than selling itself short for any reason, I think we'll show our best to the Golden State Warriors and be happy with our process there. Rest, like I said, is ever so important with these games. Missing, man, only 1 day in between these games. We just gotta find ways of finding in-game rest for our older guys, which means playing more Lonnie, playing more Troy, playing more everybody that can give them a spell. I know it's something for teams to shrink their bench. I'm trying to just absorb that to be what's normal, even though I've made the case for why I think they shouldn't. But if we're going to shrink our bench, we got to shrink our bench to players that are more likely to do things that we need them to do on the court. And so, as redundant and as simplified as that sounds, we've seen the otherwise. And so, hopefully, that's not what we see against the champs. Okay, this is Golden State Warriors. Let's have some sense out there. So that's really where my head is, man. Nothing too technical. Just understand that you have to rebound the ball against this team, and understand that they're going to defend you very well. So don't get down on low efficiency, especially from our guards. We just got to continue to hit the free throws and get to the line and get those defenders in foul trouble. They're going to try to defend you hard, so that should open up those opportunities. And you'll get them off you, and then you expose the rest of their team, and hopefully be able to flex at that point. I'm looking at Kuminga, and I'm wondering if he's going to have a good series. I just wonder. I don't know what to expect from him. I've seen him struggle some. The majority of the time I've seen him against the Lakers, he hasn't really had great games. So I think that's fool's gold, given his skill set and how he's going to be able to attack it, and also where he probably is with his conditioning at this point and his production overall. So I'm expecting to be surprised, if that makes any sense, by Jonathan Kuminga, and I think he could have a good series. So we gotta be ready for him and throw defensive players at that guy and keep length on the floor to deter his athleticism, because he's going to explode off the floor if he does what he's good at. Lob threat for sure. So yeah, man, that's what's on my mind. This first feel out game will give us a little something, and then from there we'll know exactly what to say. I do expect Wiggins to be highly a part of this matchup. At the end of the day, Andrew Wiggins is a guy that kind of just floats around on both sides of the floor and makes awesome plays surrounding superstar players. So just don't let him freelance himself into 30 points, because that's something he tends to do from time to time. And they usually win when he does it. So we got to be careful with that. Kevon Looney, same thing. He just is a guy that no matter what, you can count on to be on the floor, set good screens, rebound the ball on both sides of the floor, put backs, high efficiency, hit his free throws, even hit a stretch three-point shot here and there. If you leave him out there, be careful. That kind of thing. Kevon Looney's just an overall guy that can really, really go, and I'm wondering how good he actually is as he's coming into his own. So, when I look at this guy, I'm like, he's always been a role player, but how do I know he's not another Hall of Famer on the squad? Like, literally. He already has a championship. He's doing crazy rebounding stuff in the playoffs. He never misses any basketball games. I mean, yeah, maybe he's never been an all-star, but how could he have ever even been considered an all-star? So it's like, I don't know exactly how good Kevon Looney is. He's never been outside of that system, and when within that system, he plays like a superstar. So he keeps churning away and collecting rings and having massive impacts on these championship teams. How do I know I'm not looking at a super duper guy? How do I not know that? Like, I'm not certain. I'm not seeing something happening right there with Kevon Looney. So we just need to just respect that and do what we need to do to neutralize him, just in case this is what we're looking at. So that's on my mind, man. I really like that player where he's at right now. What he did against the Kings was unprecedented, especially in that third quarter, that game 7. So yeah, we're gonna keep a real eye on Kevon Looney. He ain't gonna catch us off guard in any way. So that's where my head is, man. Defense to offense is the best way for us to score. If we're putting offensive lineups on the floor, we know they often don't score. So if we go with the defensive players, we know we can run the floor. That's what we've seen. Rui Hachimura, utilize him, as I said. Austin Reeves, got to get something out of Dennis Schroeder. If we can get those players to all clicking at the same time, we're a good team. That's what makes us a good team, is these guys all being good and contributing at once. D'Lo, did he have a fantastic end to that series? Obviously, there was ups and downs to it, but all in all, I think he was really, really a hero in that series and shot them down more than once, even in games where he struggled. So I think D'Angelo Russell is poised to play against his old team pretty well. I think the matchups there are interesting, but his skill set doesn't really matter in terms of if he gets his shot up, it's going in likely. He's just a gifted scorer extraordinaire. So when you're going up against the Steph Curry Golden State Warriors, the key for Darvin Ham is to monitor D'Angelo Russell and don't let him get into a shootout with Steph Curry, because he's going to be tempted to do that, just like Bron's going to be tempted to do that. And because he's such a gifted shooter, he's definitely going to want to. And so it's not on him to stop himself. He's going to be down there to shoot. But we have a lot of options. And if we're not smart enough to limit our three-point shooting against this fantastic shooting three-point shooting team, we're not going to score enough to beat them, because we're never going to outshoot them. It's never going to happen. So that's what I'm saying. Stick to our principles. We got to put pressure on these guys and have them backpedaling and stuff like that. That's how we win. Defense to offense, that's how we move. So all that jump shooting, half court set, 3-point garbage, I can tell you it's only going to work partially. It's definitely not going to have the intended result. So that's what I want to say about our 3-point shooting. We got to respect 3-point discipline. It's how we got here, Lakers. All season long, we've been smart about our 3-point shooting. It's how we got here. And being smart is how we're going to get out of this series. So that's what I want to challenge my team to be. Smart, man. A dumb Laker team will be out of here in the second round. I promise you that. A smart Laker team gives themselves a very good chance to defeat the defending world champions. So let's give ourselves a shot. That is where my head is as for now. Los Angeles Lakers are just really, really making us proud in these playoffs, man, even though they've done some things there that made us frustrated. All in all, getting out of that round and silencing those young fellas in the way that they did with them 40 points, that was spectacular, man, and we definitely relish in that moment. Especially given the fact that they were talking so much about 40 and you got to respect and all this nonsense. And now they get the respect they deserve and they get to think about it all off season. So, as the Lakers move forward, we consider the fact that we are, how many games is it now? 12? Yeah, about 12 games away from our goal. 12 wins away. I always say games, but you know what I'm trying to say. The NBA championship is 12 wins away. And so we got to take care of these next 4. However we get them within the 7 games we get, that's cool. I don't care if it takes 7 to beat this team. We just got to be intent on limiting the basketball that we play based on what it is we can control. So effort. Out-hustle this team. Out-hustle this team every quarter, and you'll give yourself the best opportunity to win. But do out-hustle Gary Payton. Do out-hustle Kevon Looney. Do out-hustle Steph Curry. Do out-hustle Jordan Poole. All of these guys, we need to put more energy and effort into what we do than they put into what they do. And that will determine the odds of us really winning this series. Because if we come out kind of, believe you me, they're going to shoot us down and we're going to walk out of here not so happy. But I don't anticipate that, man. This team has been marching forward. The Lakers are simply a capable basketball club at this point. And I'm ready to see what they can do against the champs. I think we're built for the challenge ahead. I think we have the right pieces to go at them. And I think we're going to do the right things. I really believe that. So it may be a hell of a journey. I anticipate some rants, but at the end of the day, the Los Angeles Lakers are capable. So let's just get this team their first punch in the mouth early in the series. Well, it's not their first punch in the mouth, but let's give them a punch in the mouth here in this first game and just take it possession and by possession. I don't see any reason why we can't keep a close game with the Golden State Warriors each and every quarter. Just keep it close, man, and give yourself a chance. That's what I say. So that's what I got, man. That is really where my head is. I appreciate everybody being patient with me. Obviously, I'm going to be a little inconsistent with what's going on coming up. But nevertheless, I do appreciate everybody for watching BDF 44, and I'm out.